A pair of 1994 Campagnolo wheels sold for over $1,200 last year. Not a full bike, just the wheels. Across garages and forgotten storage units, vintage wheels and tires are turning into serious money. One tire on this list weighs just 250 grams, hand-sewn with pure silk thread, and what collectors pay for it explains where this market is headed. 13 vintage wheels and tires now worth a fortune. Vittoria Corsa CX $50 to $150 for a single tire, and that number is climbing. The Vittoria Corsa CX tubular, produced from the late 1980s through the 1990s, was the Italian factory's answer to a problem every professional team faced: finding a tubular that could survive a full Grand Tour stage without sacrificing ride quality. The solution was a 320 TPI cotton casing wrapped around a hand-glued latex inner tube, all coming in at roughly 290 grams. Teams like 7-Eleven and Motorola relied on them through the Tour de France, stacking spares in team cars by the dozen. What makes CX collectible now is not the performance, it is scarcity. New old stock examples in original packaging have doubled in price over the past 3 years. Riders restoring 1990s Italian steel frames want period-correct rubber, and the Corsa CX is the one they reach for first. That demand only grows as the supply dries up, and the next entry on this list pushed the Italian tire industry to build the Corsa CX in the first place. Fiamme Red Label $100 to $300 for a single rim in clean condition. The Fiamme Red Label tubular rim, produced from the 1950s through the 1970s, was among the earliest Italian alloy rims to prove that aluminum could replace steel without sacrificing strength. At roughly 380 grams with a double-wall construction and heat-treated alloy, these rims ran lighter than anything else available in their era. Fausto Coppi and Felice Gimondi raced on Fiamme hoops, and that lineage alone gives them serious collector weight. Today, clean examples are increasingly rare because most were raced hard and discarded decades ago. The ones that survived dry storage with original decals still intact command the highest premiums. Fiamme paved the way for every Italian rim maker that followed, and the next name on this list carried that torch directly into the 1960s. Nisi Toro $100 to $250, and most of the value depends on whether the model can actually be confirmed. The Nisi Toro, produced through the 1960s and 1970s in Italy, was built to handle one specific reality. Italian road racing demanded a rim tough enough for rough tarmac, but light enough for climbing. Nisi answered with reinforced spoke eyelets and a sturdy alloy profile at roughly 410 grams. Colnago and De Rosa specified Nisi rims as standard equipment on their racing frames. The identification problem is real though. Nisi rarely stamped the model name on the rim itself, so verifying a genuine Toro usually requires original packaging or matching against period catalog documentation. Collectors who can confirm the model always command more. These rims sat at the core of Italian racing for 2 full decades, but the French took a completely different approach to the weight problem. And in 1996, that approach changed professional cycling permanently. Mavic Helium $200 to $480 for a complete set, and condition determines everything. In 1996, Mavic introduced the Helium as the first complete ultralight wheel set designed specifically for mountain stages. The engineering was aggressive. Red anodized Series 6000 aluminum rims, 26 spokes in front and 28 in the rear, and a total system weight under 1,500 grams. That was radical for 1996. The wheel set saw action at the Atlanta Olympics that same year, used by riders who needed every gram advantage on the climbs. The red anodizing divides collectors. Some love the look. Others avoid it entirely, which means patient buyers can still find deals before these wheels appreciate further. What matters most is the condition of the rim decals, which peel off easily and are nearly impossible to replace with authentic replacements. A clean set with intact Mavic graphics is the one worth holding on to. The Helium was pure road racing technology, but the next entry on this list came from a completely different world. Skyway Tough Wheel 2, $125 for a beater pair with cracks, up to $550 for original 1980s examples in rare colors with no damage. The Skyway Tough Wheel 2, first produced in the early 1980s in California, solved the single biggest mechanical headache in BMX: broken spokes. The solution was injection-molded nylon composite, shaped into a 5-spoke mag design. No spokes meant nothing to true, nothing to bend on a hard landing, and a look that defined an entire generation of freestyle BMX. Riders like Eddie Fiola built their careers jumping on these wheels. The original 1980s production runs are what collectors hunt for now. Color matters enormously in this market. White and black are relatively common. Yellow, red, and the graphite carbon fiber blend versions pull significant premiums. Cracks in the composite material are the absolute deal breaker, so inspection under bright light is essential before any money changes hands. Skyway still produces retro editions today using the original molds, which keeps the brand relevant but also makes authenticating genuine 1980s wheels a critical step. From California BMX parks to the European professional peloton, the next entry takes the concept of handcrafted racing rubber to a level most modern riders have never seen. Clement Criterium Servizio Corse, $63 to $300 per pair, and new old stock commands the top end. The Clement Criterium Servizio Corse tubular, produced through the 1970s and 1980s, was the workhorse tire of professional European road racing. Teams needed a sew-up that delivered race day grip, predictable wet weather handling, and enough durability to survive neutral surface car swaps during a mountain stage. Clement delivered with a cotton casing, a natural rubber tread compound, and a weight around 280 grams. Bianchi and Mapei team service cars carried stacks of them to every race. What separates the eras and the prices is the logo. Late 1970s and 1980s versions carry a bold yellow, red, green, and white stripe logo. Earlier 1960s and 1970s versions had simpler solid red or yellow markings. The multicolor logo versions are the most sought after by restorers building period-correct Italian steel bikes for Leroyca vintage events across Europe. Age is the enemy here. Sidewall dryness and delamination render most surviving examples display only, but NOS pairs that still hold air for weeks are genuine finds in this market. The combination of hub and rim in the next segment was the other half of the equation that made 1970s and 1980s road racing bikes complete. Campagnolo Nuovo Record hubs on Mavic GP4, $300 to $800 for a complete wheel set, and original hand-laced builds command the highest numbers. The Campagnolo Nuovo Record hub, paired with a Mavic GP4 rim, laced with 36 DT Swiss, or Robergel spokes, was the undisputed gold standard of professional road cycling through the 1970s and 1980s. The problem this combination solved was straightforward. Stage races demanded absolute mechanical perfection. The Nuovo Record hub offered bearing precision that any team mechanic could service at the roadside with a cone wrench and a rag. The Mavic GP4 rim added 430 grams of reliable alloy with a profile that held tubular glue consistently across temperature changes and vibration. Together, they formed the wheel set that Eddy Merckx, Bernard Hinault, and Laurent Fignon trusted with Grand Tour careers. Today, a properly built set with documented provenance, meaning the correct era spokes, correct lacing pattern, and identifiable hub date stampings, reaches the top of the price range. Rebuilds with mismatched components drop significantly. Provenance is everything at this level, and the top 6 entries on this list prove that even harder. Now, into the top 6. If this kind of deep dive into vintage cycling parts is useful, hitting the like button helps push it to more collectors and restorers who need to see it. Back to the list. Mavic Open Pro on Shimano Dura-Ace, $300 to $500 for a clean, complete set, and prices firm up every season. The Mavic Open Pro clincher rim, paired with a Shimano Dura-Ace 7700 hub, became the most widely recommended hand-built wheel set of the late 1990s and early 2000s. The reasoning was straightforward. The Open Pro weighed 425 grams, accepted clincher tires that were finally approaching tubular-level performance, and the Dura-Ace cup and cone hub offered adjustable bearing preload with legendary durability. Wheel builders across every serious shop in Europe and North America laced this exact combination as their default performance upgrade. It was the wheel set that finally proved clinchers belonged in professional racing. Collector value hinges on the hub generation. Dura-Ace 7700 and 7800 hubs are the ones restorers want for period-correct builds. Later, 7900 series hubs lose the vintage appeal. Rim brake track wear is the primary concern, so a set with generous sidewall material remaining and minimal concavity on the braking surface is the one worth buying. This combination dominated the clincher world for nearly a decade, but the next rim on this list owned something far rougher: the cobblestones. Ambrosio Nemesis, $435 and above for Pro Team issued sets, and still in production today, which makes its collector market unusual. The Ambrosio Nemesis tubular rim has been the benchmark against which every cobblestone classic rim is measured for over 2 decades. Built from 5086 H36 aluminum alloy with the proprietary Dura-Ace hard anodization finish, the Nemesis weighs 430 grams per rim and features 32 double stainless steel inox eyelets reinforcing every spoke joint. Those specifications have remained essentially unchanged because no one has found a reason to improve them. Professional teams have raced Paris-Roubaix on Nemesis rims for more than 20 consecutive years. The rim earned the nickname La Reine du Nord, the Queen of the North, for its dominance across Belgium and northern France during Spring Classics season. The unusual collector dynamic here is that original team-issue Nemesis wheel sets built on Campagnolo Record hubs now sell at steep premiums, even though a brand new rim costs about $67 from any cycling retailer. What collectors pay for is the provenance, team stamps, race day glue residue, and documented racing history push a set to 6 times the price of the bare rim. From European cobblestones, the next entry crosses the Atlantic into a completely different era of American cycling. Schwinn S2. Chrome rims $300 to $560 per set, and chrome condition makes or breaks the price entirely. The Schwinn S2 rim, produced from the 1940s through the 1960s at the Schwinn factory in Chicago, was the structural backbone of every heavyweight Schwinn cruiser built during that golden era. These are triple chrome-plated steel, tubular construction, 28 spokes, engineered to carry riders over cracked city sidewalks and unpaved roads without complaint for decades. The S2 was standard equipment on the Phantom, the Black Phantom, the Panther, and every collector-grade heavyweight cruiser from that period. Chrome quality on surviving sets varies wildly depending on where they were stored. Sets from dry climate garages in the American Southwest hold the best finishes. Pitting, flaking, and rust plague sets from humid regions, and re-chroming, while possible, destroys the originality that collectors insist on. A matching pair with original new departure coaster brake hubs and clean chrome will sell within hours of listing online. The American cruiser market and the Italian racing market rarely overlap, but the next entry is one of the few wheels that genuinely bridges both worlds through its Olympic connection. Campagnolo Atlanta, 1996. $400 to $700 for a clean set, and limited production keeps the price floor firm year after year. Campagnolo produced the Atlanta 1996 wheel set to commemorate the Olympic Games, and unlike most commemorative cycling products, These were built to race at the highest level. Deep section aluminum rims, proprietary Campagnolo hub internals, and the distinctive aesthetic that Campagnolo is known for made them immediately recognizable in the professional peloton throughout the mid-1990s. Production was deliberately limited. Campagnolo designed these as a statement piece, and the short manufacturing window means significantly fewer exist compared to the Shamal or Vento lines from the same era. The Atlanta 1996 occupies a collector sweet spot, recognizable enough to display, fully functional enough to ride at vintage events, and rare enough that clean examples do not sit on the market for more than a few days. Decals fade, anodizing dulls, and hub-bearing surfaces wear over 3 decades of existence. A set that still presents well with legible Olympic graphics and smooth-spinning hubs is the one worth paying the premium for. And yet, compared to the next entry, the Atlanta looks almost common. Clement set a silk tubulars $300 to $600 per pair, and that price reflects something almost impossible to find in modern cycling: a tire sewn entirely by hand with pure silk thread. The Clement Setta, produced from the 1960s through the early 1970s in Italy, existed for a single purpose: time trials. Silk casing brought the weight down to just 250 grams per tire. That is the detail from the opening of this video: 250 grams. Hand-sewn silk, a tire so delicate it was never intended for regular road racing, only for riding flat out against the clock, where every single gram carried a measurable cost in seconds. Fausto Coppi, Jacques Anquetil, and Eddie Merckx all used Clement Setta tires in time trials where marginal gains decided the podium. The problem is age. Silk degrades over decades. Rubber compounds dry and crack. Surviving new old stock examples that still hold air are genuinely rare, and most are now considered too fragile to ever mount on a rim. Collectors treat them as artifacts, displayed sealed in their original packaging. A confirmed NOS pair in theoretically rideable condition has changed hands above $600. The Raleigh-branded versions, produced specifically for the Raleigh professional team, are the rarest of all variants. A silk tire, hand-sewn in 1960s Italy, set the absolute ceiling for tire craftsmanship. The #1 entry on this list set the ceiling for something else entirely: what a factory-built wheel could become. Campagnolo Shamal, $500 to $200, and the track versions push well beyond that. The Campagnolo Shamal, introduced in 1994, was the first factory-built deep-section aluminum wheel set to earn widespread adoption in the professional peloton. Before the Shamal, deep-section wheels were either one-off customs built by individual mechanics or carbon fiber prototypes with serious reliability concerns. Campagnolo solved both problems simultaneously. The Shamal featured a 40mm deep aluminum rim profile, a proprietary spoke pattern that reduced the spoke count to just 16, and hub internals carried over directly from the legendary C Record and Record groups. The engineering was sound across the board, but the visual impact is what created the lasting legend. Nothing in the peloton looked like a Shamal. The distinctive white rim finish with pink and black logos, the radial front lacing, and the audible hum that developed above 30 kilometers per hour made them impossible to miss in a group ride or a televised race. Professional teams across Europe adopted them aggressively through the mid and late 1990s. Track-specific versions built for velodrome racing used a dedicated fixed hub and are considerably rarer than their road counterparts. A set of first-generation track Shamals with the rounded titanium hub set has changed hands above $1,500 among serious collectors. Condition separates a $500 set from a $1,200 set at every point. Cracked spokes, which are a known issue on older production models, immediately drop value. Hub play, rim trueness, and decal condition are the 3 factors that determine where any given pair lands on that spectrum. The Shamal proved that a factory-built wheel could compete with the best hand-laced customs, And it did it with a visual identity that 3 decades of imitators have never managed to replicate. 13 wheels and tires. From a $50 Vittoria tubular to a 1 in 200 Campagnolo Shamal, the common thread across every entry is the same: scarcity, provenance, and condition. The vintage cycling parts market has matured well past the point where a dusty wheel set in a garage gets tossed in a dumpster or sold at a yard sale for $10. Restorers building bikes for Leroyka vintage events, collectors assembling period-correct museum builds, and alternative asset investors are all competing for the same shrinking pool of irreplaceable parts. Prices move in one direction when supply cannot be replenished. What separates this market from vintage cars or watches is the entry point. A complete set of Campagnolo Nuovo record hubs laced to Mavic GP4 rims costs less than a single routine service appointment for a vintage sports car. The financial barrier is low, the knowledge barrier is high, and the reward for patience, research, and expertise is real and growing. Every garage, every estate sale, every forgotten bicycle hanging from rafters in a basement could hold something from this list. The question is not whether vintage wheels and tires have value. The question is whether the right ones are already within arm's reach. If this list helped identify something collecting dust in the garage, subscribe for more deep dives into vintage cycling parts and the bikes that made them famous. The next video covers 15 vintage group sets that are now worth more than the bikes they originally came on.